our house for sale. And we bought we're renting a house from our son on Mercedes, which is just about a half mile up Colorado.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that? Oh, you remember? And how, what's the,
Walk, you know how to walk the whole hour?
oh, yeah.
The whole hour. I must be probably spinach, but I think walk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah. I really like where I go. Yeah. And it's not far, because I mean, you don't live far from here. It's right, the other end of Brandon.
Who are you guys looking for?
Here.
No, you're in the
Oh,
wrong
wrong
building.
place.
They're across the street here.
Okay, so.
So literally across the street, the white building right here,
Okay.
across the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that your son? It just happens to be meeting time, so the door's open.
Right? I was like,
No.
she's in the wrong place. She needs help.
But I didn't like, he's like, he's just like, oh. He's so, but I like it because it's with weight. And, he mixed it up, so he was like, probably about every 5 years, it's 5 weeks. And he mixed it up to workout, and then so there's like a workout for Monday, different one for Wednesday, different one for Friday, so you don't have to think about all that stuff. And then every 5 weeks it changes. Yeah.
Is
the
new house going to be,
I would love to go more, but I
No.
just think I can, more, but I walk.
Are you in my district?
Tuesdays I walk with girlfriends.
easier to upkeep?
Isn't that fun?
That's it.
I mean, is it smaller than the?
Oh, yeah, it's about
My husband
1,000
bought for
feet
me.
smaller.
Yeah,
The yard's about
This is a different one, vintage, and this was my grandma's.
40% of our yard.
And so, yeah.
So,
Make the upkeep a lot easier.
yeah.
I have to figure out how to adapt them, for that, but yeah. I love the sign.
And interestingly, the first house we lived in
Oh, great.
in San Diego County
Yeah.
was in Solana Beach. And
Oh,
that's
so you started slumming it in the beginning.
That's.
But tell you what, Solana Beach in 2000, whatever it was not
Things that are a little.
what it is
Yeah.
today.
So
True.
Go there.
True.
I do
But
know
still.
too.
Yeah.
They'll pick out.
I have a roof on my new house. Well, we have the sheeting. We don't have the tiles up yet, but now there's a roof.
So is the roof flat?
No, we're doing a hip roof. I'll show you in a second, but all right.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It's
beautiful.
getting there. So Jack just sent this.
My bags.
Good. Come visit us in Mexico.
Mhm.
So it's concrete block, right?
Right.
And then it'll have the classic red tile
Yeah.
on it. But they just put in
Yeah.
those over the last few days. That'll be the garage.
I do.
And this is the back side of the house.
That's neat.
This is, he just sent me some more.
It's like.
That's the main living room area.
Yeah.
Like they're just.
So that is the view out onto the bay,
Wow.
right? So when
Yeah.
you're sitting at the bar here
Yeah.
and that's the kitchen,
Yeah.
looking out,
Wow.
Oh, cool.
right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so neat.
So that will be the kitchen. Well, where am I? That'll be the kitchen area. That's when you walk in the front door. You're gonna be able to see the view straight
Right
out.
away. Well, that's just wonderful.
All the rough electrical has been put in.
So when do you think it will be ready for occupancy?
It should be ready for people to be able to hang out, probably January, probably January. So I would recommend right now, everyone,
Yes.
should apply for their Sentry card as part of your trusted traveler.
Yeah.
You know, you have like TSA pre.
Yeah.
The Sentry card is good for the Canada and Mexico borders,
Huh.
and you can use the Sentry lanes, which are their expedited. Instead of spending 2 hours at the border,
Right?
20 minutes.
So where do
Oh.
you get a century card?
You have to apply online like you would with TSA, but then you actually have to go down to the border to their CBP office and go through their little interview process. But you have to, it's the same concept for global. In fact, if that you have global, you might be able to just do an online to get Sentry. So you'd have to reapply. But you go down to the border and you basically, in theory, have to bring all these things to prove you are who you say you are. Jack and I brought all of our things and the woman was like, okay, yep, here you go.
Wow.
I'm like, but do you know how much work I went through to get all this paper?
I don't care.
Yeah.
So what was the interview like?
Yeah.
Why are you going to Mexico? How long you lived here? Looks like you travel a lot. Yeah. I mean, that was about it. But I think the idea is like, if you had any kind of discrepancy in your paperwork, they're gonna ask you more clarifying questions. You have to be able to prove you are who you say you are. Just like with TSA pre,
Sure.
you have to kind of be able to show your documents. You made it. Traffic didn't kill you too much.
Hello.
You would take pieces of phone
Good.
and you'd like engrave it and
I'm doing
stuff,
well, thanks.
and or pieces.
How you doing?
Um,
Getting ready to go.
Yeah.
She's got her hairs all cut. She's all ready.
Where are you headed? Oh. And.
Mexico City.
Yeah.
Oh,
And.
I'm
have
visually
you
excited,
been
but that was
there
really cool,
lots of
but-
time?
Oh, it's my
But,
first
so
time.
yeah, that one's
Mexico
on
was born
display.
there. So,
Cause
it's pretty
Chris
cool.
was born in Mexico City. Is he dual citizen?
How come we're able to buy that piece of property?
Yeah, because he's a citizen. Oh, I'm so mad.
So, speaking of that, buying property, do you have to lease it?
So ours is actually owned via a bank trust. Because we're not Mexican citizens. The bank owns the trust and we are the sole beneficiaries. So
Steve,
the trustees. In theory, the bank at some point could say, we're gonna take it. It's never gonna happen. It never has happened. But it allows Mexico to keep their coastal properties from being completely purchased by Americanas.
so it's a Mexican bank?
It's a Mexican bank. And we had to go, well, I didn't, because I didn't actually put my name on the trust. They had to go down to Ensenada to do all the actual signing of the paperwork and everything. Because you're buying in a foreign country, you go to that country to buy it.
Sure.
So,
All right, then.
you guys want to get started? Okay, so I'm going to start recording.
Beware.
Keeping up with my buddy.
I understand that. Okay, we are good to go. Hopefully the volume is all working. I'm not hearing any echoes, so we should be fine.
All right. So, I'd like to call to order the Fallbrook Regional Health District Finance Committee on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. And are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
We don't need to call roll, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll move right into the review of financial statements for April 2026.
Okay, I will do that. And of course, I didn't even print out my treasurer's report.
Oh.
That's fine.
And just by the way, I really like that treasurer's report. And if I were to say, there's a few other things I'd like on it. Would that be okay, Olga?
Yes.
I'm all, I had just mentioned to Olga that we would probably start having her be able to prep that, and we had talked previous to Olga's entry here of changing it up. So yeah, this is the time to make changes. Let's not go backward, Howard. Okay,
No, it'll still be brief.
perfect.
And mentioned with me that the treasurer's report would be the report I give at the board meeting.
Excellent. Yeah. So we can talk offline, Olga, about some of that. The treasurer's report has changed in various formats over the years, depending on the treasurer, depending on who was doing bookkeeping and such. So for a short time, we had the previous bookkeeper using an AI tool to help write it. And it made for some nice features, but it wasn't always edited appropriately. So there was a lot of times that there was just not very useful information on it. So we can double check and look and have something that's probably more meaningful than just typically what we kind of run through. So like, for example, in report 1, we typically just compare end of April to end of March and note the percentage change. This time, I mean, it's a fraction, which is not uncommon for this time of year. So there's not anything really remarkable on the balance sheet. We ended March at, let me get to the appropriate page, at 14,291,000, and we ended April at 14,310. So again, you're not seeing dramatic shifts. You don't typically see dramatic shifts in our balance sheet, other than certain times of the year when our property taxes are huge and they come in, or we have a major outlay of expenses. But otherwise, you don't usually see too much shift in our balance sheet. Sorry, I'm still a little bit wonky from this cold, so forgive me if I space out on you all of a sudden. I did take more cough medicine last night and I'm still shaking it off. Okay.
What brand do you take?
The generic CVS version of the Mucinex Extreme.
No good stuff.
No good stuff in it. And it tastes terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They want you to get hooked.
Yeah, we all used to get the NyQuil high. Yeah. Oh, well. Okay.
So on the balance sheet, the only
Yes, sir.
question I've got is accounts payable went up a bunch.
I think that's because we make, we make a payment. We do payments in April for community health contracts. So we do an outlay of expense there that you don't see except for every once a quarter, basically. And you'll see that on report 2 under the community health contracts, I think.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So the accounts payable are for our grantee.
Accounts payable is everything that we're paying out in a month. And in that particular month, the community health contracts were paid out, which is why you see a bigger shift, because we didn't pay that during the month of March.
Sally, any questions about the balance sheet?
Not a problem.
Okay.
Report number 2.
Report number 2 is profit and loss just for the month of April. So you'll see we have our regular expenditures. Again, nothing truly remarkable.
So
But now here's all of the grantees, and there's not a line item for them for April.
Good point.
You were talking about the 8,000.
Okay, now I've got, no. No, yeah, Sally, you're right. Your observation is right. I was incorrect when I was talking about the balance sheet. So accounts payable, Howard, we had in March, sorry, I've gone back to balance sheet one. We paid out 36. In April, we paid out 95.
Yeah, but that's not the balance.
The 95 on the balance sheet is.
Yeah, but it's not paid out.
Total accounts payable for April
It's
on the
what-
balance,
What we owe. What we owe.
That's what bill on the expenses that are.
right.
So we owe 95,000.
I mean, our total expenditures for the month of April. Hold on, let me get back to my. I gotta figure out which page I'm on, sorry.
Total expenses we have 142,600.
Yeah, 142, 668.
Maintenance, repairs, employee benefits,
Yeah,
I would guess.
Yeah. maintenance and repairs were higher.
There was, elevator.
We had some elevator expenses. Hold on, let me get to my.
Well, we probably all would agree that report number 2 isn't very helpful.
Report number 2 is never helpful because it's just such a truncated snapshot of, which is why I generally jump straight to report number 3.
Good.
All right, we'll jump back to report number 3, but thank you, Sally, for making my correction. I had, did we do the grant checks then in May? We just did them. Okay, sorry.
I have a special report in the QuickBooks that says Sue. And it's, it would be the month of April and the month of March. And I look at 2 of them.
Mhm.
in comparison to- Just to kind of see what the big jump was,
Yeah.
so.
And I typically look at that same report in QuickBooks, which is why report number 2 has never been very helpful. So I'll jump to number 3. If we're looking down the columns for administrative first, and then we can jump over to Wellness Center. Really, again, I go to the 4th column, which is our percent of budget. I don't worry too much about the over budget, under budget line, the variance, because a lot of times those are simply just out of phase where something has been billed but may not have been budgeted until the following month. So I generally try to stay and look at the percent of budget. Do you need more light, Howard?
Yes, you noticed?
Yeah. No, it's this one over here. Because I noticed,
Yeah.
we only have half the lights on there.
And since I printed it out real small. Oh, that's so good. Yes. Yay. Yeah,
There you go.
thank you very much.
Sure. So if you look at percent of budget, the 4th column for administrative, there are a couple of line items that have consistently carried over and been larger. That has primarily been under advertising and promotions. Remember, we had the truck wrapped, and that was an unbudgeted expense. So we went over on that. We are,
What line are you looking at?
oh, I'm sorry, line number 10 in the 4th column.
All right.
Line number 16 for Fallbrook Food Pantry, again, we made additional grant funding for them, so that's sitting at 260% of the budget. Of course, but again, we can talk about how that was decided in committee.
Then how come that doesn't show up as, okay, over budget, so it's,
Right,
because it's black, then it's not.
right. In the expense column, we are over budget, not under budget. So under in expenses is the red, and over is black.
Okay.
Like, for example, we haven't paid for, in line 19, the ambulance. So it's showing that it still needs to be paid out. We good?
And when do we expect that they want us? to pay
We
that?
finally got the invoice from them. We are waiting for some backup documents. We need that money to get spent in this fiscal year, so Olga's gonna go ahead and get the check processed for them. And then and then we will send that out, and North County Fire can get us the additional supporting documents we need. I'm not
Good.
worried about having to chase them down. We know who they are and we know what they do.
Must not need us.
Well, it's not so much that as, this actual ambulance, I think the original order was placed in like 22 or something like that, 24. Don't remember, but it was placed quite a while ago, but it takes 2 to 3 years for them to get them. Yeah. So, again, if you want to just continue down the line items, there's again, not really anything that jumps out where the expense is significantly higher than we budgeted.
What is the, for the Fallbrook seniors, line 17 and 18 on the.
So Fallbrook Senior Citizens, that was the Senior Citizens Service Club, the senior center,
Right.
right? And then the Foundation for Senior Care. They've merged now, but when we did the grants, they were still separate entities.
Right.
So their grants originally were done as separate entities. They're now a single entity, and you'll see that on line 22. Which is why you see those negatives of being unpaid, but that one line item that is paid.
Got
So that one item looks like it wasn't budgeted, but it's just the combination of those two.
Okay, that makes.
And we can continue down expenses if you'd like.
Yeah, I know the answer to this, but just drawing attention to line 13. Where,
Yeah.
we,
Had hoped to have clinical services this fiscal year. That did not come online yet. As a side note, Measure H, which was the Tri-City Sharp
Yeah.
Partnership, passed with overwhelming support, like
Yeah.
92, 93% of the vote was in favor, which is positive. That means that Sharp and Tri-City will continue with that agreement, and Tri-City will bring a great deal of resources to the Tri-City District. Sharp will bring a great deal of resources to Tri-City District. And they'll also bring forward maternity, which will be nice because that has been pretty much vacant here in North County for quite a while. I did send an email out to Jean at Tri-City and Jason and Scott, the Sharp boys, this morning, congratulating them and gently knocking on the door.
yeah, right.
Gen-
So do you think that will hinder our hopes?
No, that actually expedites and supports our hopes.
But nonprofit.
Sharp is a nonprofit. Which is why they've been able to have such a relatively seamless process with, Grossmont.
Cause that's a lease, right?
Correct.
As will this be a lease?
This will also be set up as a lease. Yeah. A little bit different structure because there's a few different, additional pieces, I think, but
Yeah.
it's still the same general format as Grossmont.
And so that district, Tri-City, will become more like us, more like Rosemont.
Yeah, actually, I went and had, I know we're not talking finance here, but it's relevant. I had lunch last week with, Jean from Tri-City and Tom Scaglione, the finance officer at Grossmont, who is, soon to retire from there. And we had a pretty good conversation about how that's been working and some different processes. And as that came up, Jean was indicating that, for the first year, he will stay with the district, and not move to Sharp, even though he's an MD. It would be a potential conflict of interest for him to be negotiating with a future employer. So he'll be staying with the district. And they are, talking about bringing in a consultant group to really help them and the board flesh out a solid strategic plan so that they can decide what kind of services their district would like to offer that can support hospital operations. So whether that is supportive housing, whether that is, post-discharge support, something of that nature, trying to be able to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
so that'll be good.
Okay,
Um,
we're through with line 33.
I think we're through with line 33, so if you see anything else on the remaining lines,
Let's see, legal, we're way under, right?
yeah. Again, I had budgeted the maximum contract amount.
Yeah.
And they actually are only billing us for what we're using.
And doing a great job on salary.
That's pretty easy generally for us. We did end up obviously saving funds without, Judith in admin. That offsets what we brought in with Olga, and it's well worth the, exchange right now. Although Olga's gonna make me sit down with her on Friday to do her 90 days, so I may wipe all that money out, I'm not sure.
Feels longer.
So our total expenses are,
Considerably under
yeah,
from the
Food.
budget.
and even with the, food pantry expense.
Right, right. Because we didn't allocate the 400 and some thousand over to, clinical services. We haven't paid out the 200,000 to North County Fire yet. So we should come close to fairly even year end. I've authorized a few additional expenses for some items, primarily wellness center and outreach items, knowing that this fiscal year we have a little more, play in the budget than we will in next year's budget. So if you good with that, we can scooch over to column number 8, I guess it would be, under Wellness Center. If there's any question on theirs, theirs is a little easier. You'll see that they like to spend, even more money on advertising and promotions. Of course, I just said that that was going to happen, so that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. And that has to do with buying some promotional items. As our programming has been, ramping up, Teresa is being thoughtful on what items would be incentivized for the Loteria, our Spanish-speaking program, making sure that we have adequate supplies for DPP and other lifestyle change programs. I think those are the main drivers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some outreach
Some outreach items,
for,
yeah.
yeah.
Everything else, as I recall, is pretty much well under the expenditures. We had a little bit more in IT services, but that was obviously we added in a staff member and we had to do some formulation over there. We also had to expand the ability for Wi-Fi over there. That was a bit of a challenge. So we increased another node over there to get a little more coverage in the steel building. It was all pretty much centered right around where the office space was. So if you were in room 3 and 6 at the end, you really didn't get much service.
I
You-
noticed that yesterday.
Oh, well, it should be much better now.
Maybe I didn't recognize what it was. That could be. right.
Yeah, and you need to be logged into the center's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because if you're just using your own cellular in the building, it's not real great.
Well, yeah, that's good to know. Next time I'm there,
Yeah.
I'll do better.
Yeah, there you go. We have a little bit of overage on line 50 under maintenance and repairs. That is probably to be expected until we really have more years under our belt with the center being done. We're going to continue to find things that aren't necessarily community development disbursements, CDD development, but just overall maintenance-y things. Like trees, bugs, and plumbing, and electrical, and
Trip hazards.
trip hazards, gutters, all the things. Yeah, we spent a lot of time thinking of those. Again, if you look down under salary line 62, with the departure of Bianca, there was a little funds saved there. That will be completely wiped out next month, because now we have both, Henry and Juliana. So.
I really liked a lot, by the way. It was
Excellent.
So nice to meet them. Like their energy.
They're good
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
Teresa's been beaming about them, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unless there's any questions, with that, we can go to the final column, the total percent of budget for the year. Again, I don't feel there's anything truly remarkable in there that is a cause for concern. IT is a little bit high, meeting expenses were a little bit high, but the dollar amount is actually quite negligible. Again, maintenance and repairs, as Susan pointed out, we already saw that for this last month anyway. Elevator stuff was a little more spendy. You're gonna see that again. We just had the elevator pit resealed today. So I'm hoping that we will mitigate some of those challenges in the go forward. But overall, year to date, I feel like we're in a pretty good space.
You are.
So,
Good job.
Yeah.
okay. If there aren't any questions on that, we can move to the compliance report. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Sounds good to me. Yep.
Friday was a construction in progress by significant.
I'm sorry, I can't,
The AP question, the accounts payable, why is it that? I
Yeah.
just realized construction in progress is significantly higher than in March. 172,000 and in April is 300.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Cause that's
The con-
by finishing up all of the.
yeah, that has a lot of, a lot of room 6, the exterior restrooms, room 3 renovation. No, I don't think gutters were in just yet. I think gutters will show up in this next month, but yeah. So there was a lot of in-progress construction. Yes. Thanks, Olga, for getting us caught up on that one because I didn't remember. Regarding the compliance report, you'll notice that there was an additional change this month, and Susan put in a little more information so that comparisons can be seen from the month before. I'm not gonna worry about reading that too significantly, because while you see some changes, they weren't dramatic swings one way or the other. So we still have our 3 investment vehicles, sorry, with Leaf, which is still sitting at about 4.6 of our overall portfolio. Cal Trust, where we have 2 funds, the medium and the liquidity. Overall, Cal Trust covers about 78% of our portfolio. And then California Class, which has a smaller percentage of sitting at about 17%. Leaf is still the smallest because we had been pulling all of our reimbursements for construction out of Leaf previously. We will probably pull now more from either the medium term in CalTrust or look at the other 2 short term and kind of make that decision on the quarterly basis so that we keep our overall portfolio a little bit balanced, right? So whichever tool seems to be providing the better yield, we will leave intact. And right now, whether it's a short term or a medium term, we don't really know because things have been volatile, I believe is how they like to define that. But thank you, Susan, for adding in a little more information about previous months' percentages. That gives us a good comparison other than the static snapshots.
That'll be interesting to see the difference between April and May.
Yes. I was just, don't mock my bar graphs. I love my bar graphs. Maybe a trend line to see how we're sitting month to month. Yeah, I'll do it.
That'd be fun.
I'm gonna make a bar graph right there. Bar graph, probably a line.
Yeah, line.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, I'll show off my MBA skills again.
Yep.
Whatever. Okay, so you'll find in there the statements from our investment tools as well. Really nothing different from what you see in your compliance reports. So I'll jump to report number 5, which is our check detail report.
I think about that every time before I go to these meetings.
Well, next month y'all can, not next month, in 2 months, y'all can make fun of Jesselyn because Jesselyn did the error this time, and so she'll be, she inadvertently used the district card on something, so we'll have to point that out.
Bring her in.
No, she went to Olive Garden and it wasn't that exciting. It wasn't like Black Market White House Black Market. So. Teresa's like, really? I'm never gonna live it down.
No, I'm not.
No.
Too good.
Right. As you look through the checks, really, what you'll see, for example, on the second page of the check detail report at the very top is impact marketing. That again, it's a little bit more of those promotional items. Everything else is pretty standard. I think the only new vendor, and you'll see that on what's called page 5 of 6 of the check detail report. About midway, you'll see United Nursing International Healthcare Recruiters. No, we are not recruiting healthcare professionals. However, Teresa was able to contract with them to provide us with LVN level. Is that right? Or CNA?
You know what?
I think it's. I
have to
forgot.
look it up. Yeah,
I'd
I
have to double
forgot.
check.
Yeah.
For our Wellness Wednesday events, right?
Yeah.
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 To be able to have blood check.
Blood glucose.
Blood glucose. God,
Yeah.
it's so off today.
Yeah.
Blood glucose checks. And because we are not a clinical staff, we brought in them and they cover then all the insurances and we don't have to worry about the liability for that. Right. Which was always a concern.
Mhm.
So this mitigates that and it puts that on the shoulders of professionals.
Mhm. We still have a waiver form for people to sign. You know, if they decline emergency care in that, you know, situation, they would sign that away. So we have like proper documentation as well.
Right. And then right under that line item is the biggest difference that Olga helped redirect our thoughts toward from the balance sheet, which is classic handyman services. This is the general contractor that we use for not only our handyman services, but who won the contract for the external restrooms and for the room 6 renovation, which shall be done soon. So we will invite you, Sally, when you get back from Mexico City, to take a look at room 6. The turnaround in that space is really phenomenal. So the 2 tiny children's restrooms will be individual occupant unisex. There will be a new storage room, and then there is a small prep room, which will be ideal for if we're doing, let's say, a parenting class. The kids could be in that room doing a little art project, and the parents could be in the class space, or something of that sort. Or you have just prep space for
Mhm.
supplies. So it'll be a very multi-user kind of space.
Nice.
It'll be really nice. But you can see that we've obviously been investing in that space and checks written out to that. Credit card statements, really very standard. I didn't even print myself a copy. I remember looking at it thinking I didn't see anything unusual. Let me make sure I didn't look at it. It was a long time ago that I looked. Thanks. You'll see that we had backgroundchecks.com. Yes, that is a real thing. And we do background checks on any of the employees who have interactions with sensitive or potentially sensitive data. So in this case, both Henry and Juliana may be exposed to personal health information. So it was important that they went through that. I was at the AFP conference, so there's some travel expenses for me. Right below that is Jesselyn, who also had some travel expenses. We sent her to the WeWork conference that Judith had planned to go to. With Judith's departure, we were able to shift that over to Jesselyn, really kind of mainlining her education in some of the HR processes. So we didn't want that to go to waste, and we were able to invest that in her. Teresa and I both will probably have a little bit more stuff for California special districts. That's pretty standard. Otherwise, nothing interesting on the credit card statement. No mystic limos or anything.
No.
Notice the credit card ones all seem to have a theme. All right. Community development disbursements. We don't have a reimbursement for this month. I believe that comes back at the end of May is our final. No, we did it in March. I don't think we have a reimbursement. We'll look at reimbursement again at the end of June to close out any reimbursement. But it's mostly just been standard construction in progress, mostly wellness center to be expected. And that's it for the basic reports. And then I just have I have a couple of updates that will affect our fiscal 26-27 budget that were unanticipated at the time I was making the budget. So our IT service provider, Jason Springston, has let us know that he is going to be walking away from that and pursuing other ventures. He has been a great resource to this community, and he doesn't charge us for most of the things he does. which has been generous in the past. However, it wobbles us up a little bit this year because we have to get a new vendor, and a new vendor is going to charge you for all of those things. So Jason is doing a very warm handoff to another company that he's worked closely with, that he feels confident can provide us with the appropriate security and support that we need for our IT. As anyone who's listened to any news in the last year, it's incredibly important that our IT systems are locked down and secure. So he's introduced us to a group, again, that he knows, but it will take our annual IT budget. Annual IT budget was setting at 8,400. It will go to 25,692, which is a much more realistic market based. We were fortunate we had our little Jason unicorn, but we will be switching out. I feel confident with the new firm. I've already met with them once. I will meet with them again tomorrow to go over the contract. There are things in the contract that they are waiving the expense because they are acknowledging Jason's contribution and support. So that is actually a nice, good way to start a business partnership. They're coming highly. The firm is based in Escondido. The principal partner lived in Escondido until COVID, when they moved back to Indiana for family. And like all things IT, they can handle most of it remote, but because their office is here, they still have a team in Escondido. So if we do need an actual physical person, they can make that happen. It won't be like Jason where we just go, hey, what are you doing? Can you come by and fix my printer? Can you know, yeah. So it's going to be more like traditional business IT support. But Jason has already done a good job of getting most of our systems up to the point where, you know, we don't, even though he comes in on Wednesdays, we usually just talk gossip around town and he doesn't have to do anything. He checks the systems, and, you know, the system is set up so that we could, in the event of an emergency, be fully functional off-site. So our systems are in place. Most of it can be done remotely. He does most of our things remote anyway. So it should be fine.
Do you know what he wants to do?
Well, he is building a home in Panama right now. Yeah. So he's been traveling back and forth with that. His mother also lives back in Georgia, and he's been dealing with some parent aging issues back there.
So are we talking about Panama country or?
Yes.
Yeah. Georgia, San Diego.
Pretty much, yeah. Jason is quite the worldly individual with a diverse set of experiences.
Huh.
Yeah, he has two teenagers. I think his son has already graduated. I think his daughter's about to.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that they're just gonna be up and moving. But he is definitely trying to unwind a lot of these things so that he has more flexibility to work with his mom and a few other things. So he's given us plenty of time. He'll still be available. He'll help us do this transition to this other vendor. So I will bring, that contract isn't large enough to really have to bring it through full committees. We know we need IT. This isn't a new service. So I'll get this contract. I'll send it over to Alex. We'll do our own service agreement. But it looks quite fair. The fact that Jason is making this recommendation really carries a lot of weight because he knows our system so well. I mean, basically, we rebuilt it. When I got here, I let go the other person who was handling IT because we really needed to elevate what we were doing. So Jason and I were able to really build what we needed. And then when Teresa came on at the Wellness Center, he's really helped kind of build that to a capacity where we were able to start to function. And then starting to look at, okay, where does it grow from here, right? Because there will come a point where that center is going to need even more capacity. And I'm still not gonna microtrench for fiber. You're not getting that. Cause AT&T wants like 30 grand or some ridiculous amount to take it from Mission Road to the building. And I'm like, no, we'll Starlink that before I pay. Cause I'm still cheap. Anyway, so that's what we're looking at for IT. Another expense that I'm gonna probably bring forward, and we talked about this a little bit, was the fact that currently our website is handled through Streamline, and Streamline has handled our website for years. Streamline has been trying to promote their PDF accessibility tool, right? So a new law went into place that any public agency that has a website, and you're required to have a website, so all public agencies that have PDFs on their website, all of those PDFs must be fully ADA accessible. And that is so that the disabled community has the same access as anyone who doesn't have a visual or auditory or some other disability. A PDF on your website, if you're using an accessibility tool, that accessibility tool will read that PDF, right? It will use alternate text. It'll explain what the picture was. Well, and as much as we support that, the challenge is things like these financial documents, especially statements that come from the credit card company or statements that come from the bank. Those are third-party PDFs to us that we cannot make accessible. We can't alter those documents. And currently we have many thousand pages in our website that from our early days, historically, the district once upon a time made multiple copies of every single thing we did here. And every single thing was posted on the website in 4 different locations. And because they're not marked as visible, they're living in there and you can find them via the search bar. Okay, well, every single one of those PDFs would have to be made accessible. All of that to say, Streamline has said, oh, we can do that for you. They originally wanted like $23,000 to do it. And I laughed and I said, no. And then they said, well, we could do it for 7. And I said, I still think that's, I said, I still think that's ridiculous.
That makes me not feel so.
Well, and we've been frustrated with Streamline for quite a while, because their websites are not very creative. We did upgrade this last year so that we had more. Unfortunately, there was a thing in there that said, oh, you'd have to rebuild every one of your website pages, and there's an additional cost if you want it under this new tool. And then they were purchased by another company, Civic Plus, and it's already been echoed that there's going to be a significant price increase. So between that and their PDF challenges, we have been looking for another website company that is used to handling municipal, that can handle and solve this PDF challenge. Gives us more flexibility in the tools, including the website calendar and a few other things. Jasmine found a particular group called Revise and met with them. They've forwarded over a proposal. So currently we're spending just under $9,000 for the website. We knew that in this upcoming year, Streamline was going to push that closer to 15,000. With Revise, their annual fee would be 11,000, and that would include the PDF reconciliation problem. Okay, which is great. The only issue is we would have to spend the first year some additional money to rebuild the website, which is going to be close to another $12,000. So I am looking at that right now. That contract will come to this committee and then will go to the board, but we're looking at that for the month of July. We paid Streamline their annual fee, and we do that in January. So I don't want to pay both in the same time if it can. So I'm gonna push that as late as possible, knowing that we do need probably a couple of months for this new company to build the new version in a sandbox before we launch it and decommission via Streamline. So that may be August, when I think we have that outlay of cash. Unexpected, but we know that we have to be compliant with this PDF rule. We have a little more time on it. We have this new website option. One of the biggest challenges we've had with Streamline for 3-4 years at least is the calendar on the website, right? So the Wellness Center has all of these great programs, and we really want to put a calendar on the website so that people can find things. That's apparently very technically difficult to do.
There's no reoccurring event feature, so every one of those pages are built.
Every single
copied,
time.
and you have to go in and change stuff, and so it's quite intensive.
Yeah, it's a time suck
Yeah.
for Jasmine and Teresa and the team. So we're talking about that having always been a high priority. Plus, you see one Streamline website and you've seen them all. They all look alike. That's why when you look at, FPUD and you look at North County Fire and you look at us, we all look the same. We increased our version of Streamline last year so that we had a little more usability, and it really did not live up to the expectations of what they sold. So I'm more interested in jumping into this new group, even though I didn't anticipate that potential $11,000 to $12,000 hit for the new website.
That'll probably save people's time.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's fine.
Yeah.
it'll save a great deal of time. So just letting you know that you're going to be seeing a couple of those new things coming up. You will see that it will, from day one, make our budget out of whack. Yeah, on those couple of line items. So you'll see that under IT services, and then you'll see that under subscription costs, because the website goes under the subscription costs. But just want to let you know that that's coming. Fact is, we just really found that out now after we approved the budget.
Thank you for the heads up.
There you go.
So we got checks.
Are we done?
Oh, yeah. Unless there's anything else, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
I was worried you were gonna hit your
Yeah, don't hit the iPad.
Right. Although